Hello, my little pretties. What's up? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and today we are back with another episode of Shadows and Pretties. Today we are at episode 42. Wow, amazing, eh? Today we are doing another Christmas movie, and I did a poll on, on my community tab asking, what episode do you think I should talk about for the next episode of Shadows and Pretties? And most of you guys said Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So, with that being said, I am going to be explaining about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Since Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, from what I've been researching, had so many versions, like Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin Boss one, the 1998 movie. We've also got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys. Not going to get into that, the sequel to the Rankin Boss one, too much, because, well, I saw it when I was a kid, but I don't remember. Well, I might just talk about a little bit of it, but not too much. We're mainly going to focus on the 1998 Rudolph and the Rankin Boss one. So, I guess with that being said, I am going to go ahead and, ended up, basically explain what the 1990, well, not 19, but 1964 version, or Rankin Boss, version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer before we get into, well, the 90s movie. So before we get to the 1998 one, I'm going to recap about the Rankin Boss one for those who want a refresher or are planning to watch any of these Rudolph, movies. Let's begin with it, shall we? So I'm sure most of us have grown up with it, so I'm going to explain what I can. So basically what happens is we have this character like Sam the Snowman who welcomes the viewers into Christmas Town at the North Pole, introduces Santa and Mrs. Claus, who live in a castle located on the left side of Christmas Tree Forest. And later on, Sam recalls the year that Christmas was almost canceled due to a big snowstorm and how a very special reindeer saved the day. So basically that talks about Rudolph, and that's how the story begins. So Donner, who is Santa's lead reindeer, and his wife give birth to a new fawn, which they name Rudolph. Of course, they were surprised to see that he was born with a glowing red nose. When Santa arrives, he warns Donner that Rudolph will not make it to the sleigh team because of his nose. So Donner decides to try to hide it by covering it with mud so Rudolph will fit in with the other reindeers. So about a year goes by and Rudolph goes to the reindeer games where the little fawns were inspected to be by Santa to pull his sleigh when they grow up. So during the practice, Rudolph meets a beautiful doe named Clarice, who tells him that he's cute, so making Rudolph fly. However, while celebrating with the other bucks, Rudolph's fake nose pops off, causing the other reindeer to mock him. Coach Comet expels him, and then he meets Hermie, the elf who ran away from Santa's workshop because he was wanting to be a dentist instead of making toys. So basically, Rudolph and Hermie ran away together, and they met a prospector named Yukon Cornelius, who is in search of his whole life trying to find silver and gold, but he never does. So after escaping, they run away all together, and they meet So of course, upon that, they were escaping from the abominable snow monster of the north, or the Yeti. I like to call him the Yeti, and they crash into the island of Misfit Toys, where their unloved, unwanted toys were lived by a ruler with the winged lion named King Moonracer, who brings the toys to the island so he could find some homes for the children who would love them. So the king allows them to stay one night until they can tell Santa to find homes for them for Christmas when he gets home. So Rudolph leaves the island of his own, worries that his nose may endanger his friends. The time passes and Rudolph grows into a young reindeer. And of course, enduring the mockery from the others, he returns home to find out that his parents and Clarice have been looking for him for months. So he sets out again to try to locate them and his friends. Of course, when he finds a cave by a snow monster, Rudolph saves Clarice, but the snow monster hits him in the head. And basically a few minutes later, Hermie and Yukon try to save Rudolph. But of course, they lure the monster out of the cave and pulls off out of his teeth after Yukon mocks him out. And Yukon, who then drives him toothless to the monster back, only to fall over on the cliff. Of course, with Yukon's presumed death, Rudolph, Hermie, Clarice, and Donner return home and apologize to everyone. So after hearing the story, what happened, Santa promises Rudolph that he would find homes for the misfit toys, and the head of the elves tells Hermie that he can open his own dentist's office a week after Christmas. So Donner apologizes for being hard on Rudolph, and Yukon returns with a tamed snow monster, now trained to trim a Christmas tree, explain on how the snow monster's bouncing abilities to spare lives. So basically, Christmas Eve comes and everyone is celebrating, but when Santa announces the big snowstorm won't subside in time, he has been forced to cancel Christmas. But as soon as inspired by Rudolph's nose, he asks Rudolph to lead the sleigh, which Rudolph accepts, and they fly to the island of the misfit toys that were sad about being left alone and unloved, were suddenly cheered up by Santa when he arrives to pick them up. So Santa, in the end of the movie, wishes everyone a Merry Christmas, and he and Rudolph fly into the night. So that's basically a Rankin Boss version of it. Now, I actually find the animation to be pretty good, even though this is made in stop motion. But, however, for that being said, I really do like the 1998 Rudolph movie. I actually found it to be more interesting and more obscure and stuff like that. And not only just that, I actually found it to be more understandable and really interesting and entertaining. Despite the fact that there were only a few, maybe there were a couple flaws in it. But with that being said, it was actually pretty good. So with that being said, my little pretties, I'm going to talk about the 1998 version of Rudolph. So, of course, with that being said, I am going to be explaining this. So, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie was pronounced by the company called Good Times Entertainment, a long-known video company. But unfortunately, well, we could just say that they ended up defunct, or at least stopped producing it back sometime in 2005 because of, well, let's just say a lot of bankruptcy. They unfortunately had to, stop doing these movies. So that was the only reason why, unfortunately, they ended up not releasing any more movies after that year, was because of, well, bankruptcy. They weren't making enough money, which kind of sucks, because if Good Times was still making money to this day, I bet they would have made a sequel to this movie. Like, a lot of people nowadays really wanted the sequel to the 1998 Rudolph movie, and I personally wish they would, but unfortunately that's not the case. So with that being said, I am just gonna say this right now that, yeah, it is pretty depressing. But let me explain with this. So it's kind of the same like the Rankin Boss one, except the plot is very different. The company itself is pretty different as well. And, well, the company made different the plot line is very different. The whole concept and stuff is pretty different. And with that being said, basically there were different characters, newer ones, and some ones that were never in it. So with that being said, let me begin with this movie, with the 1990 Rudolph movie. So, one night, the sprites of the Northern Lights, who were a group of singing sprites who fly around the North Pole, witnessed the birth of a baby reindeer named Rudolph, who has the unusual red, shiny nose. So, of course, that is very different compared to the original Rankin Boss movie, because mainly there were no sprites in the Northern Lights, there was no Slyly or Leonard, there was no Stormella, there was none of this stuff that is going to be explained in the Rankin Boss version. I guess they decided to change it up a bit, so instead of remaking the Rankin Boss one, they changed stuff up to make it more interesting for, people. So those who were born in the 90s probably have remembered seeing this movie, and I'm sure most of you guys have. So Rudolph and his parents, Blitzen and Mitzi, yes. Difference right there between the Rankin Boss and this one. Donner is Rudolph's father in the Rankin Boss one, while in this movie, Blitzen's the dad, so that's pretty surprising, eh? Only differences. They meet up with Rudolph's three uncles, Dasher, Comet, and Cupid. However, Cupid tickles Rudolph and triggers his glowing nose, which draws the attention that caused Rudolph to be mocked. So, of course, meanwhile, the two of Santa's elves, Dougal and Bone, crosses the bridge of the wicked Ice Queen, Stormella, accidentally destroying several ice statues while delivering Santa's mail, and when Stormella finds out, she demands Santa to hand him over to her, but when he refuses, she closes her bridge as punishment and warns that if anyone to cross it, she will create a blizzard so strong that will stop Santa from delivering presents to children around the world on Christmas Eve. So surprisingly, that did not happen well, the storm kind of did happen in the movie, well, the Rankin Boss one, but except it didn't really, have a villain or anything like that. Like, there was no villain in the Rankin Boss one. This was just an idea from Good Times Entertainment. They basically decided to do this because they just wanted to kind of spice the film up a little bit more. So, A year later, and Rudolph starts school when he's ridiculed by everyone, including his mean-spirited cousin, Cupid's son, Arrow, for wanting to be among Santa's reindeer, the Flyers, just like his own father. Despite his nose, the only one who doesn't tease him are his teacher, Miss Prancer, Zoe, who is a kind young doe who Rudolph has a crush on. After running away from the school, Santa meets Rudolph and reassures him that his nose is grand and that, to be a flyer, a reindeer must have a true heart, and a trait that he sees in Rudolph. So, of course, with that being said, Rudolph believes himself, and that's when it goes on more. So, years later, a teenage Rudolph takes part of the Junior Reindeer Games for selecting new flyers for Santa, but however, during the sleigh race, Arrow, who is in a relationship with Zoe, causes the other competitors to crash and then tries to distract Rudolph by claiming that Zoe is only nice to him because she pities him, making Rudolph's glows red in anger accidentally blind Arrow. So that's basically Rudolph was angry with him because he was just being such a douche in it. So throughout the Rudolph wins, he is disqualified for blind Arrow, and Arrow wins by default. So Zoe confronts Arrow about his selfish ways and ends their relationship. So as Blitzen tries to defend his own son's actions towards the rude referee elf, the eavesdropping Rudolph misinterprets his father's statements and admission shame towards him. So basically right here and then, that's when Rudolph decides to run away from home. Except he didn't meet up with Hermie or Cornelius or anything like that. He ends up meeting up with, Slyly the fox and even Leonard the polar bear, which they were not in the Rake and Boss version. That's basically because they decided to make up something else. So, at night, with the help of the guidance of the sprites, Rudolph journeys across the North Pole and eventually becomes be friends with an Arctic fox named Slyly, and later on, a polar bear named Leonard. So, while Zoe learns that Rudolph ran away from home and runs off to search for him, she comes across Stormella's ice bridge the next morning and decides to cross it despite the consequences. However, she is caught and imprisoned by Stormella, and Santa sends Boondoggle to search for Rudolph and Zoe. So while Rudolph meets the sprites who teach him how to use his nose properly and inform them of Zoe's capture, Rudolph, Leonard, and Slyly journey to Stormella's castle. But of course, Slyly decides to stay behind out of Stormella's fears of pet wolves, while Rudolph and Leonard enter. So while Rudolph and Leonard are captured and imprisoned by Stormella as well, she unleashes a massive blizzard upon the North Pole. So after Stormella goes off to sleep, Slyly, having to gain some courage, sneaks into her bedroom, retrieves a key that unlocks the prison cells, and basically frees his friends. However, Stormella wakes up and realizes this and sends her pack of wolves after Rudolph and his friends, who eventually corner them on a cliff. When she threatens to free Zoe first, Rudolph uses his nose and blinds Stormella, sending her toppling over a cliff and hanging on to her dear life. So Rudolph and the others save Stormella, and she's greatly offered to grant him a wish, but much to the Ice Queen's dismay, Rudolph wishes Stormella to be nice. So basically, Stormella becomes nice, and for the wish takes a full effect, Stormella is unable to stop the snowstorm that she created. Boone and Doggo later find out and bring the entire group back to Santa's village. So because of the blizzard, Santa is unable to carry out his flight this year, but when he sees Rudolph's glowing nose, that's when Santa asks him to lead the team of flyers. So they basically do that, and Rudolph guides Santa's sleigh through the storm, and of course, that's basically the end of the movie. What a great story that one was. Like, I have to say, this one actually received a lot of good positive reviews and mixed from critics too, even with Rotten Tomatoes and even on the movie, especially when it first premiered in October 16th to 1998. So that's pretty much something I can definitely say. I definitely have to say, I really do like the fact that all this is pretty cool. I like the fact that, the actors are in this movie. The ones I'm familiar with are like John Goodman, which is one of them. He's voices Sully in Monsters, Inc. He's Baloo in the Jungle Book, and he voices many others. Now, Eric Idle is another person that I do recognize that he is in this one. I do recognize him in it. Whoopi Goldberg, who is Stormella. I honestly found her to be awesome for Stormella. She fits really well. Debbie Reynolds, who is in this as well, but it's kind of sad that she died back, around 4 years ago, pretty much. It was shortly after her daughter died a few years ago. And of course, we get Bob Newhart as well, who is also an elf. Yes, he was an elf as well. I probably didn't mention him, but I just thought, you know what, I mentioned him. So, of course, there was 4 books based on this that was released, but however, though, I can't seem to find them anywhere. The only time I will be able to find it is, like, online. So the books that I was wanting to look for, but I can't seem to find them. And if I do have luck, or if you guys do know where I can get it, please let me know. I am not looking to get them on eBay because, yeah, eBay, you can sometimes get ripped off at eBay. I'm not trying to sound hypocritical or anything, but you know what? That's totally fine and understandable. So, with that being said, I am going to be explaining this right now. So, there are 4 books based on the film. So, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the retelling of the animated movie, which was based on the film's plot. We also got Rudolph Saves the Sprites, which serves as a sequel, to it. And we've got Rudolph's Special Day in Santa's Workshop. And we also got Rudolph's Sing-Along book, which only features a few songs. So, that's basically about it. So with that being said, my little pretties, what did you guys think of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Do you like the Rankin Boss one? Do you like the 1998 movie? What do you guys think of this story? Leave me down in the comments below. And if you do have other versions of Rudolph you like, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would really like to hear your opinions and thoughts on these movies. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Shadows and Pretties. I really do hope you have a great day, everyone. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And you guys will also get to keep in track with all the other stuff that I like. So, with that being said, I am going to save this right here, right now. I will be seeing you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, and I'll catch you all next time.